everyone, and welcome back to my true crime channel. Today I'm going to be talking about, Nichol Kessinger again, and I want to go through my thoughts and views on the woman again because I still cannot believe that she's never been charged for any involvement in the Watts family murders.
Thank you so much for coming out here with me, Christopher. I am having a wonderful time. You mean a lot to me, and I'm glad that you're having a blast. I am so out of breath.
Now, I know that I've covered this case before in quite a few of my videos, and I know that many other YouTubers have covered it too. I know that some YouTubers just cover this case, and there's probably quite a lot of overkill on the internet, but I want to talk about it again because I just can't get my head around how Nichol Kessinger has not been charged or investigated further for her possible involvement in the Watts murders. Now, the first thing here is that Nichol Kessinger didn't have an alibi for the day of the murders in August 2018. Now, her phone pings, and I just want to make sure that I get this right, off of a tower in Frederick, Colorado. She lived about a 25-minute drive from Frederick in another town. So what was her phone doing pinging that tower? From what I can gather, Chris Watts has said that she was texting him the whole time that he was going to take the bodies, or take his wife's dead body and his two children to the place where he murdered them, the site of his work. Where are those text messages? They've never been found. Now, the fact that she broke her SIM card in half, before doing that had deleted, excuse me, everything off of her mobile phone, her device, or everything to do with Chris Watts, all phone records, phone calls, text messages, photographs that they'd shared together. But what I don't get is how none of this has ever been looked into further. Now, we all know her dad was a Mason, and in my opinion, that may have gotten her off. The fact that he sat in a police interview with her as a grown woman of 30, found that really weird. Now, in the UK, unless you're mentally incapacitated, you don't ever have another adult in with you in a police meeting, especially a police interrogation or interview. Now, if you're disabled, if you're deaf or you're blind, you could have an interpreter in with you. Or like I said, if you have lost your mental faculties, if you've got dementia, something like that, then you certainly would have another adult in there with you. But as a 30-year-old woman that had all her faculties, that was clearly mentally functioning as a normal human being, didn't have any issues with her brain or her brain working, why the hell did her dad need to be there? That's never made sense to me. God, there are so many other things to go over here, but there's certain things that I just want to mention in this video today. So, like I said, she's got no alibi. She's in the area of the house on the morning of the murders. Really weird. No reason to be there. Her lack of compassion in her police interviews disturbs me to this day. No empathy, no sympathy, nothing for Shannan or those girls, especially nothing for Shannan. She could barely even say the woman's name. She'd been murdered and she was pregnant. Even if you were with her husband having an affair, shouldn't you have some empathy or sympathy for the woman being dead? Even if you didn't like her, and even if you wanted her husband, if you were a normal human being, you'd have empathy. She showed zero. And going back to those police interviews that she gave, her fake tears, I mean, Jesus, they were laughable, weren't they? And then when she said, but those girls, they were so little. Sorry about my terrible American accent. Sorry to you American people. Should not try doing it. I should stick to my English accent. But, when she said that they were so little, and the way she said it, her voice was so pathetic, and they were so little. Almost like she tried to be like a child when she said it, childlike. And the fact that she tried to flirt with the guy that was interviewing her, the police officer or the detective, sick. Why? Thought she'd use her femininity to try and get around it. Really? He goes along with it a bit, but I think it's only to sort of get her to say what she's going to say. He only sort of flirts back with her a bit. I don't think because he likes her in that way. He's a police officer, but I think it's done on purpose to try and obtain more information from her. But sadly, nothing ever really came out other than she clearly didn't like Shannan. You'd been Googling Shannan for a year before you got with Chris, so you were clearly stalking him and his family and his wife. From what I can gather, I think she got the job at the same place as Chris through her dad. So her dad had something to do with it, again, being a Mason. Had she already spotted Chris somewhere and got the hots for him and liked him and had been wanting him for years? Really weird. I mean, she Googled Shannan's name hundreds of times. Even if you're having an affair with someone, why would you do that? Why would you want to Google someone 100 times? Really bloody weird. She was stalking her on her social media, stalking her on her Facebook. it's really quite unhealthy. I know people have affairs. I know that sadly this goes on in day-to-day life, but not everybody stalks the person's wife by looking them up on the internet 100 times a day. Not normal behaviour. So in my opinion, she was out to get Chris for quite a while. Now don't get me wrong, I am not a Chris Watts sympathiser. Definitely don't get me wrong on that. I hate him. He is a monster. He deserves to rot in jail. But I've always thought that he didn't act alone. I'm not saying she helped him commit the murders, but did she urge him to do it? Now, from what I can gather, she didn't have as much money as him. She was quite envious of their beautiful house and all their beautiful possessions. She lived in a small flat. She clearly didn't have as much money coming into the household as them. And what I'm wondering now is, was she looking for him to kill his family so they could claim an insurance payout and drive off into the sunset together? Just my opinion, guys. I could be wrong, but that's what I've often wondered here. Now, something has never sat right with me about Chris Watts' confession. I'm not saying it wasn't true, but he very easily gave up the information in the police interrogation. All right, he does start telling lies and all the bullshit's flowing out of his mouth at the start, but then suddenly he just gives it up. Now, normally sociopaths, and a lot of people think Chris Watts is a sociopath, they think they can fool the police. They think they're number one. They think they are much more intelligent than everybody else. So the fact that he does just cough up the details after not long of being interrogated doesn't sit well with me for a sociopath. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't know what mental health disorders Chris Watts may or may not have. He could be a psychopath, could be a sociopath, but he doesn't really show signs of either of those disorders. I'm not saying he hasn't got something wrong with him, because to kill your family in the way that he did was so horrific. There must be something very wrong with his mind, but was he pushed to do it by Nichol? I've always thought that he was. And for me, her excuses about why she broke the SIM card and deleted all the information off of her phone were really weak. You know, it was like, oh, I was so ashamed. And well, I don't know if she even used the word ashamed, but she was embarrassed by the fact she'd had something to do with this murder, and she didn't want it on the phone anymore. She didn't want to see text from him because it made her feel sick. She didn't want anything more to do with him. Now, I can half get my head around that you delete the text, but why would you go into the phone log and go to the trouble of deleting all the phone calls from your log? I just don't understand. And then why would you break the SIM card in half? That is the most strange part for me here, that she was clearly trying to hide something from the police. What was that? Her involvement? What was that? Her pushing him to maybe kill the wife and the children? I don't know. I mean, I can't imagine that she could have wanted the children dead, but I wouldn't be surprised here if she did push for Chris to kill Shannan. I've often wondered as well, and I know not everyone's going to agree with this, but could she have been there that night? Could she have been in the house when Shannan arrives home? Was she part of the murders? Did she help Chris carry out the murders? I don't know, but there is footage of a person outside of the Watts home that looks like Nichol Kessinger with a young child. Now, I found that footage quite a long time ago and I can't find it again, so I'm sorry that I can't share it with you, but I'm going to share some footage that I've already shared in a separate video on my channel that show what looks like Nichol Kessinger outside the Watts home on the day or the night of the murders. Now, it's definitely not Chris Watts. 100% it's not Chris Watts. You can see from the way the person walks, there's two different people. They both walk differently. One is taller, one is shorter. One has much wider leg jeans than the other person, and they have a different walking style. One is clearly Chris Watts. You can see that it is. You can see his head and everything. And the other person looks like a woman. She has jeans very similar to the jeans that Nichol Kessinger was wearing in the police interrogation. She has a crossbody bag, very similar style to what Nichol had in the police interrogation. She has an updo ponytail, very similar to how Nichol often wore her hair. And personally, I've always thought that that is Nichol. That is Nichol in that footage. And she should have been busted for some sort of involvement, because she was definitely there on the day of the murders. She definitely was. There's no doubt about it in my mind.
Shadows played a trick on my eyes. Creatures in my bedroom at night. Lately I have not been sleeping fine. I can't get no peace of mind. Though I could be better than I've ever been. Got friends, a family, and a place to stay. Though I should be better than ever when I see my loved ones every day. I know for every laugh we share today, there'll be a teardrop later on. I know the more I have,
God, I could sit here and bang on about Nichol Kessinger and my feelings on the woman all day. She's cold, she's calculated, I think she's narcissistic. During that police interrogation, she didn't really show much sympathy or empathy for Chris. If she was part of this, you'd think she would have done, although maybe she's very good at hiding it. But she had no sympathy or empathy for Shannan and baby Nico, or for Celeste and Bella. She tried to show some for Celeste and Bella, but it was pretty pathetic. And the fact that she never mentions an unborn baby has been murdered and how sad she is about it, that's weird. I also, from what I can gather, she told Chris that she wanted to give him his first baby boy because he'd already had 2 daughters with Shannan. And from what I can gather, Chris tried to give Shannan some sort of drugs, secretly spiking her with these drugs in the lead up to her death in the hope that she'd miscarry. Maybe in his mind he thought it would be easier to leave her if she wasn't pregnant, but maybe, just maybe, he didn't really want to kill his whole family. Nichol encouraged him to, and maybe he was trying to make his wife miscarry so that his mistress could get pregnant with his first baby boy. Obviously, Nico was his first baby boy, but if he could get rid of Nico and kill him, get rid of him whilst his mum was pregnant with him by giving her some sort of medication, then Nichol would have his baby boy. If that's true, that's so sick. I mean, if it's not bad enough what he did to Shannan, Nico, Bella and Celeste, the fact he was trying to get rid of Nico before he'd even killed Shannan is so sick and so tragic. It makes me feel really ill that he behaved like that. I mean, I think the thing with Chris Watts as well, he looks like the normal American guy next door, the all-American family, you know, the American dream, their family. When you looked at their Instagram and their Facebook and all of that, they looked like the perfect family, but they really weren't. They were having problems. They'd been having problems for a while. She'd been suspecting an affair. He obviously hadn't admitted to it. He tells the police on the night of the murders that he doesn't admit to the affair. And at first, sickeningly, horrifyingly and shockingly, he tries to claim that Shannan killed the girls and that he killed Shannan because she'd killed the girls. Now, obviously, that was a load of bullshit, and thank God he does eventually admit that's not true, but he has apparently told someone in prison, from what I can gather, that Nichol was involved, but that he'll never say in what way. Okay. I also can gather, I think, that she's been writing to him in prison, potentially under her new name, because she has now changed her name. Some people think she's left Colorado. Personally, I think she probably is still residing in Colorado. Narcissists don't feel things normal people feel. They don't feel shame and embarrassment. So any normal person that had been with Chris Watts, normal, although to be with Chris Watts, maybe you wouldn't have been normal. Not that I'm saying Shannan wasn't, but I mean as a mistress. Perhaps Shannan didn't know clearly what he was really like, or she wouldn't have married him, would she? But I think Nichol Kessinger is a narcissist. I think she only cares about herself. I don't think she really cared about Chris. And I'm starting to wonder if she only really wanted to be with Chris because of his money, because he was financially secure compared to her. But the thing was, they weren't very financially secure. They'd gone bankrupt not long before Shannan died. They were always spending more money than they had. So their perfect life wasn't very perfect. And the fact that she wanted to steal that life, move in on Chris, get rid of the girls, get rid of Nico and get rid of Shannan, makes me believe that some of it was financial, some of it was to do with money, and that potentially none of it was to do with love. So anyway, I keep hearing here, there and everywhere on the internet that they're going to reopen the case and they're going to look into her again. But, you know, we're 3 years and a couple of months since this happened. 3 years in August this year since these tragic murders were carried out by Chris Watts. I can't see the case being reopened. If her dad was a Mason, he probably has many fingers in many pies. He could have sorted it out for her, could have smoothed it over. You know, I can't get my head around that anyone whose dad wasn't a Mason, if they'd sat there and gone, yeah, I deleted all the texts because I didn't want to see them anymore and I was so upset by what he'd done, and then I broke my SIM card in half, most police forces would find that really weird, really disturbing, really deceptive, and it would make them think someone's trying to hide something. So they must have known that. So why didn't they look into her further? Did they think because she was a woman that she couldn't possibly have asked Chris to do this, or planned this with Chris, had some sort of involvement in this with Chris? I don't know. But what I do know is that he has said that eventually he might, Chris Watts, come out and say the truth about what really happened. But for now, I think in his weird way, he's still in love with Nichol Kessinger, if he actually knows what love is. He thinks he is in love. And he's not going to dob her in for now. So I think maybe if Nichol Kessinger ever marries, has a family, and he finds out about it and realises there's no chance for him, which obviously there isn't because he's in prison for the rest of his life, thank God, rotting where he belongs, but maybe he's deluded and thinks they're going to get back together. I don't know if he thinks that, but, you know, he's clearly a psycho. He's clearly, well, then again, is he? I don't know. I'd like to think he is a psychopath for what he did. I think most people want to believe that he's a socio or a psychopath to be able to do what he did. I definitely think there's something majorly wrong with him. He clearly didn't care about Shannan, but, you know, even if he didn't love Shannan anymore, why couldn't he have just got a divorce? Why couldn't he have just left her like a normal person does? Moved on. Things happen. Marriages break down. It happens every day around the world. Most people don't kill their family, annihilate their family, kill their little girls and their pregnant wife. They just leave them. So that I'll never be able to get my head around. But whether he has got a psychological disorder, whether he is a psychopath, a sociopath, I don't know. There are a lot of things that make me believe he isn't, but I have to believe there's something wrong with him very much to have done what he did. Well, anyway, guys, this is just a short one from me. I just wanted to talk about Nichol again because I find it bizarre. I found it bizarre that the Colorado police, the Frederick Police Department, did not pursue her further. Once they knew that she'd been looking up Shannan over a year before she got with Chris, Googling the woman 100 times, constantly stalking her Facebook and other social media accounts. That should have raised major red flags for the police, in my opinion, and putting aside that her dad was a Mason, you know, fuck him. They should have looked into her more. There's still a chance to. I mean, apparently she's still residing in Colorado. Apparently she's still in America. So why can't she be looked into again? At least, you know, at least tell the public you can't ever locate the phone records that are missing. I think they kind of have said that, but these text messages that were meant to be sent on the day or the night of the murders, where are they? Why can't they be gotten back? Is it because she broke the SIM card? At least maybe the Frederick Police Department should come out with a report and just say why they're never going to pursue her, to give the public some peace of mind, because otherwise, like me, they're all going to just go out of their minds for the rest of their lives, wondering, was she involved and why was nothing ever done? Why wasn't she looked into more? There have been cases like this in the world before where a woman has been involved and she has been looked into more, but not all of these women had Masons as dads. So I wonder if his authority as a Mason definitely not implicated, but took away from her the heat and made the police not pursue her further. Once Chris had confessed, they'd got their man, they were putting him away forever into prison, and perhaps they just thought, well, she wasn't involved. We've got no solid evidence. Let's just leave it. Well, the Watts family murders has definitely been a case that's captivated me since it happened nearly 3 years ago. It's one of the most tragic family annihilation cases that I've come across. The way Chris carried out the murders, I'm not going to go into the details because you probably are all aware of them, but the way he discarded of their bodies, it was so disrespectful, so horrific. I can't imagine how her mum, dad and brother are coping nearly 3 years down the line. I bet they seriously miss them. And I bet they seriously probably all have mental health problems. I doubt they can sleep at night. You know, how you can process your sister or your daughter being murdered in that way, that was pregnant, and your little grandchildren or your nieces and your soon-to-be nephew were just obliterated. I don't know how they live with it. They're obviously a very strong family, and I give my respect to them because they've been so poised, so respectful, never really having a go at his family, whereas his family have very much had a go at them. So, you know, kudos to them. They've dealt with this so well, and how you deal with something like this so well, I don't know, but they're obviously very strong people, and I give them my full respect. So anyway, guys, this is just a short video from me. I'd love to know your thoughts on Nichol Kessinger. As I said, I know I've done videos on her before, but it's been a while, so pop your comments below. Was she involved in your opinion? If so, how? And if you don't think she was, why don't you think she was? And if you think she was, why do you think she was never looked into further? Do you think it's purely because of her Mason father? Do you think it was because she was a woman that she got away with it? Do you think they just didn't have enough on her? But, you know, all I've gone through today, the fact that she had no alibi, she'd been stalking Chris and Shannan for over a year before she got with Chris in a romantic relationship. She obviously wanted to steal Shannan's life. She shows zero sympathy for Shannan. She can't even say the woman's name in the police interviews. I mean, Jesus, I won't go back through it all again, but there are so many things here that are red flags. I can't get my head round why she's not been looked into further. I really can't, even all this time later. Well, anyway, guys, I hope you're all keeping well and staying safe. The weather here in the UK is not so great today. It's a bit cloudy, so I don't know about any garden time chilling out for me today. Definitely need to work on the old tan. I'm a bit pasty as it is, so I hope the sun's coming back. I hope if you've been watching the Euro, you've all been enjoying it. England, Germany next week. Brits, or English people, not Brits. What do you think? Might we win? Generally, we don't win against Germany. We never do very well. So personally, I wouldn't be surprised if we lose. But it's been nice to have something else on the telly recently, other than coronavirus and depressing news channels. So just to sit back and watch a bit of football. I know not everybody likes it, but I like my football. I have been enjoying that, so that's raised my spirits. But anyway, guys, I hope you're all keeping well and staying safe and enjoying your spare time, getting your freedom back. In a couple of weeks here in the UK, all our freedoms will be back. We may not have to wear face masks anymore. We might be able to go to a nightclub, although I'm not sure I'll be going to any nightclubs anytime soon. I'm a bit old for that now. But hopefully younger people can get their lives back. Hopefully we could go on holiday, although I'm not so sure on that. I think I'm going to leave that till later in the year at the moment. But anyway, guys, keep staying safe, looking after each other. And as always, I'll be back very soon with another true crime video. Bye for now.